I'm pretty sure many of us already know that we are not getting a full season 3 of My Happy Marriage. Instead, we're getting just 3 special episodes where we will probably see the marriage ceremony of Miyo and Kiyoka. But the thing is, the release date is still a mystery. So I'm here to tell you what might happen. We will most likely get content from Volume 7 only. There is a chance they might include a few chapters from Volume 8, but there's no way they can add scenes from Volume 9 in just 3 episodes. For those who don't know, Volume 7 is mainly about how their wedding happens. Honestly, it was chaotic and not how I expected it, but we'll talk about it later. Volume 8 mostly shows his past, especially his student days, but near the end, we also get a chapter of them as a married couple. Volume 9 is basically their honeymoon, where unfortunately she gets kidnapped again. With only 3 special episodes, I don't know how much they can actually cover. But if they're not planning to give us season 3, I really hope they choose the best moments from these volumes. Alright, let's start with the overview of Volume 7, where the second season of the anime left off. And if you want a detailed version, let me know in the comments. It starts with the prologue. Miyo was sitting in her dressing room, looking beautiful but feeling very anxious, while Hazuki and Yuri showered her with endless compliments. Even Fuyu gave her a compliment in her own way. I mean, it was her wedding day, but none of it made her smile because her soon-to-be husband was nowhere to be found. They told her that he was super excited about this day and wouldn't leave her alone. So despite her fear that something was wrong, she decided to be brave, clenching the lucky charm he gave her and walking toward the ceremony. There was no time to waste. She believed in him and trusted him to show up. I don't think they will start any episode like this, but because of this prologue, I couldn't put the book down until I finished it. Anyways, moving back in time to a few weeks before the wedding, our favorite couple was living a peaceful, happy life. She packed his lunch like always and noticed he had started smiling much more. Then as he left for work, Hazuki visited her and brought a notebook full of newspaper clippings about them. They looked through them together and then she teased her for being too formal and encouraged her to practice calling him darling. She even asked if they had started sharing a bed, causing her to get even more flustered. Meanwhile, at the military office, Kiyoka was getting ready to retire. Because he wanted to protect and be there for Miyo, he was leaving his commander position to go do. When he went home and had tea with his fiancée while she showed him the clippings, he tried to be a little romantic, but in her flustered state, she spilled the tea. Then, as they both got closer while cleaning it up, he gently pinned her to the mat and softly asked her to call him darling. She was so overwhelmed that she burst into tears. Poor Kiyoka thought he had scared her or made her uncomfortable, so he pulled away, looking ashamed. But she had to get her feelings across, so she told him that she liked him very much, and then ran away to the kitchen in the most Miyo way possible. The next day, she and Hazuki attended a cooking class. There, she reunited with her old classmate Kimio Nagaba, who told her a charm story that was supposed to keep a couple happy. Somehow it was creepy, cruel, and tragic, but she listened until the end, without knowing that it wasn't a charm, but rather a curse. That's why back at home, when she tried to fix things with Kiyoka, she ended up shouting at him, calling him shameless and other names, even saying that she hated him. He was absolutely crushed. He stood there in shock, his shoulders slumping in despair. She was unable to stop the words from coming out of her mouth, so she left in tears, realizing that something was very, very wrong. He told himself it was understandable, but he was so devastated that he couldn't even sleep at home. So he went to the military station and worked all night. And in the morning, Godu and Kazushi teased him mercilessly when they realized he was in a lover's quarrel. Back at home, his parents visited. His father told Miyo about the small tongue curse and laughed at his son, explaining that he probably only missed it because he was too excited and happy about the wedding. That's why when he come home and Miyo told him about the curse, he was incredibly embarrassed to admit that his father was right. But knowing she didn't actually hate him, he pulled her into a warm embrace. As he hugged her, he admitted that she looked cute when she was mad. The curse forced her to call him weird, and then she ran away. But this time, her heart was happy. Back at work, he was visited by a superior who brought an urgent request from the Nagaba, the same family Kimio was from. When he met her, she begged him to save her from that family, hoping he would do it because she was his fiance's friend. But he was unmoved and left her there. I'm telling you, he hasn't changed much. He just has a soft spot for Miyo, who was still suffering from the side effects of the curse, which is why even now she mostly stays quiet. After that, she visited her mother Sumi's grave for the first time. She told her how happy she was and thanked her for being such a great mother. She even said that one day she wants to become a mother like her. Her grandfather comforted her while Kiyoka stayed quietly by her side. Then they moved to the Osaba estate for a banquet under a massive cherry blossom tree, and literally everybody joined them, even the prince. There, Arata pulled Kiyoka aside to ask about Kimio and the Nagaba family, silently questioning whether he could truly protect Miyo, reminding him of the first match they had, the one Kiyoka lost. But before things escalated, Miyo joined them. The couple walked away and shared a romantic moment under the tree. He wrapped his arm around her shoulders while she blushed, worrying about the people around them. I can guarantee it would be a really beautiful scene if they include it in the anime. Then he asked if it was okay for them to be more intimate, since he really wanted to continue from where they left off. She agreed, but said it should wait until marriage. I love how he's constantly worried about appearing vulgar or greedy, and even then he reflects on himself. Fast forward, and now the wedding was only one day away. The air felt heavy. Instead of feeling purely excited, Miyo was haunted by a strange, dark feeling in her chest. In the evening, Kyoka requested a hearty filling dinner to prepare for their big day. But just before she started cooking, a paper flew in through the window. It was an emergency, so even though it was the night before his wedding, he had to go. She didn't want to be a burden, so she stayed strong and packed a lunch for him. She begged him not to get hurt and admitted that she didn't want to be away from him. He took her hand and made a vow, saying he would do everything in his power to ensure nothing came between them and the ceremony, because he wanted them to become husband and wife as soon as possible. She cooked a massive dinner and waited until the sun went down, but he didn't come back. She forced herself to eat and then went to bed alone, expecting him to return by morning. But even as the sun rose, the house was still empty. Poor Kyoka spent the night dealing with nightmares because, as it turns out, Kimio was responsible for bringing a horrific cursed relic into her house. To be more specific, it was a leg from the earth spider, a powerful monster he had fought years ago. Stupidly, she also confessed to putting a charm on Miyo, and because of that, he felt a murderous rage toward her, so he left her to face her husband's anger and military punishment. The wedding morning arrived, but the seal on the relic was not yet finished. He could either help his men or attend his own wedding. He didn't want to abandon them, especially since Godu was also upset, as the earth spider was the monster that killed his father. He prepared himself to miss the ceremony because he couldn't leave his team in such a dangerous situation. However, just then, the second special unit arrived, and that's when he rushed back to Miyo. Back at the shrine, she was dressed beautifully and waiting for him. Just when a worker announced an arrival, she ran down the corridor and came face to face with a ragged, out-of-breath Kiyoka. He finally made it. The moment was emotionally relieving. He complimented her, and she told him he looks handsome. Despite his exhausted state, he quickly went to change, and she finally felt that burden in her chest vanish. After years, their wedding was finally about to begin. It took place under a blue sky in a beautiful setting. Miyo was wearing a kimono embroidered with golden phoenixes. But inside the ancient shrine, she was extremely nervous. Her anxiety was at its peak, but when he reached out and gently took her hand, it gave her instant reassurance. They performed the traditional ceremony of exchanging cups, and she realized that after this, she would no longer be a Saimori, but she would officially be Miyo Kudo. Then we see a luxurious Western-style venue filled with hundreds of guests. Miyo had changed into a colorful wedding kimono, a blend of pink and red. We also see Koji, her childhood friend, who has surprisingly joined the military. She realized that all the people she trusted over the last year had come together to save her wedding day. At the very end, Koji handed her a letter from her half-sister Kaya, who is still working as a servant by the way. She was too nervous to read it alone, so she asked her husband Kiyoka to sit with her. The letter started off formally, but her sarcasm and insults were still there. She said that unlike Miyo, her life as a servant is peaceful because she is clever and so on. But none of it bothered her though. Instead, she laughed, realizing that she finally had a sense of closure and is truly moving forward. Now that they were husband and wife, she shyly tried to practice her new role, calling him darling or dear. We are also going to get their first night kiss as a married couple, where he sweeps her up in his arms as they spend time together under the glow of the spring moon. A few days later, she and Yuri visited the military station to bring Kyoka a homemade meal, and there she ran into Kimio again. She was crying, but then suddenly pulled out a dagger and lunged at Miyo. She hit her chest, but it didn't pierce through because of the protective charm Kyoka had given her. She broke down, screaming that it wasn't fair. In short, she was jealous, but Miyo, being Miyo, showed incredible kindness, comforting her and even promising to attend another cooking class together. On the other hand, Kyoka was terrified by the near miss. He confessed that if she had died, he didn't think he would have been able to live much longer without her. In return, she scolded him for saying that, making him promise to value his own life. The chapter ends with Godu watching the happy couple from a distance. He is happy for them and is determined to hunt down the earth spider to ensure it never ruins their peace again. If I'm being honest, I don't think they will have time to include the monster plot or anything like that. But I am hoping they will add the scene from the epilogue where, after a long and exhausting day, Kyoka meets Miyo in the park for a quick lunch date and falls asleep on her lap. This time, she's able to call him darling naturally, without turning bright red. When he wakes up, he asks how long he slept, calling her lap dangerous because he could sleep there for longer, very comfortably. Then as they stand up to leave, he pulls her closer and gives her a quick kiss right in the middle of the park. She panics, worried that people are watching in broad daylight. But he just grins, clearly enjoying how easily he can fluster his wife. As they walk back toward the station, hand in hand, they talk about their future, about where they want to go on their honeymoon. I have no words to describe how sweet it feels reading their story. I hope you like this overview, and if you know when we are getting the special episodes, please let me know. In the end, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening to me. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.
I don't really wanna hurt you, but I can't control the pain. If you're sticking by my side, maybe we could be okay. Okay, maybe you could be the change.